Hi, this is Buddy Halligan from the USC School of Cinematic Arts Sound Department. I'm here today to share with you some quick tips about Pro Tools, free apps for your smartphone or tablet, and audio post-production. This tutorial will show you how to configure an existing sound design session and get it ready for mixing, or to send it off to another mixer. We're going to use a template to simplify and streamline the workflow and make sure the routing is correct. The goal here is to make a more efficient format for the mixer and get everything ready for them. This tutorial is designed for essays and mixers alike. This particular template is designed for use at home on a system that does not have any external hardware. That doesn't mean it cannot be used on a system with hardware. It's very easy to adapt it. There are actually two versions of the template, a full version that you can just drag all of your audio onto, or a streamlined version that you can import into your existing sound design session. You should have been given either a Google Drive link or an email containing the templates and I/O settings. Install the I/O settings by dragging them into your Documents folder to Pro Tools and then I/O settings. In this example, you can see that I've highlighted the 310, 508, 541 I/O. Drag the template folders into the same area, Pro Tools and then Session Templates. You can see that I put an SCA folder inside of my Session Templates folder. You can do this or just put it in the post-production folder that's already there. I'm going to use an example 508 film session and show you how to get it ready to import into the template. So here we have an example of a typical 508 session. It's got about 16 or 18 tracks. There's a QuickTime movie in it. As you can see, it's imported. We'll look around here. What we need to do here is get it ready to import the new template into it. It may have some plugins, it may not. It doesn't really matter. I'll put a couple on here so you can see it. Either way. So the first thing we're going to do is fill the channels with plugins that the mixer might use. We're doing this again to speed up the workflow. And the first thing you're going to want to do is auto-enable all of the plugins. Go to the Setup pull-down menu and go to Preferences. Then click the Mixing tab. Make sure the preference Plugin Controls Default to Auto-Enabled is checked. With that preference checked, the mixer will be able to automate plugins like special EQ settings, etc. We're going to put EQ plugins on all of the channels. I like to use the EQ3 7-band as the standard. Obviously, the mixer can always change this. So there it is. I want to do this to all of the channels, so the easiest way to do this is just hold down the Option key. Choose that plugin again, and you'll see it go to all of the channels. It's giving me this message because I've already got that one on the first channel. Great. I'm also going to want to put on compression plugins. I'm not going to want these on all the channels, so I'm going to select a range from the first dialogue track through the effects tracks. I don't need compression on backgrounds, music, etc. If I do, it can be added later. So because I have this area selected and it's not all of them, I'm going to do Shift Option and then choose the Pro Compressor. I like that one. Also, I'm going to want to bypass the plugins. So why am I putting these on if I'm just going to bypass them? All of this is to give the mixer options and again, speed up the workflow. Now to bypass the plugin on those selected tracks, select the tracks, hold down the Option and Shift key and then click Bypass on the plugin. Then last, but certainly not least, instantiate the McDSP 575 noise filter on those same tracks. If you don't have these plugins installed, don't worry about it, but if you do, it's a real nice plugin to use if you've got it. Now, save your work. Save often, save early. Keep saving. Before we import the template's I/O, let's check out the playback engine settings to make sure they're correct. As you can see here, I'm just using my MacBook Pro's speakers as the engine. Change yours now if you need to. Now let's deal with the I/O. Your I/O will probably look pretty similar to this one. There's not a whole lot there because it's just your computer's hardware. You can see that the bus and output tabs just have a single stereo output. The other tabs don't even have anything. Let's go ahead and delete any pre-existing bus paths. Make sure that the Apply to All tabs checkbox is checked. Click Import Settings and navigate to the I/O that you earlier dragged into your I/O settings folder and double-click. Now let's take a look at what we've got. Your Bus Path tab should look like this. This is the heart of your new template. And as you can see, there's still nothing on the Input or Inserts page. All of these paths will be utilized. Click OK to apply it, and then big Command S. Always save your work. Okay, now let's configure your session to have it work with the I/O you just imported. Select your dialog tracks and route them to the dialog processor bus. If you have any ADR or narration, route those tracks to the dialog master bus. Since this example doesn't have an ADR track, I'm just going to use my dialog D track and route that to the dialog master bus. The rest of your audio tracks can be routed to the mix bus master bus. This would include anything like music, background, effects, Foley, etc. Remember to hold down the Option and Shift keys while doing this to route the selected tracks to the bus. Save your work. We'll just do a quick check of our routing to make sure it's right. Dialog processor, dialog master, mix bus. Okay, everything looks great. If you mess something up, now's the time to fix it. Then you're going to route all of your tracks to auxiliary sends. Now ours aren't visible here on the mix page, so we're going to go up to View and then show sends A through E. So it's really simple. We're just going to go in order here. Reverb 1, then Reverb 2. Remember, we are holding down the Option key here, which makes it a do-to-all command. Short delay, and then last but not least, long delay. We're also leaving the sends volume all the way down to its default state of -infinity. Remember, we're doing all of this to give the mixer more flexibility and speed up their workflow. As always, save your work. Did I mention that saving is probably the most important thing you can do in Pro Tools? Now we're finally ready to import the template. Click on the last track of your session to select it. Then, under the File menu, choose Import Session Data. Navigate to your Session Templates folder and choose to import the 310, 508, 541 template. So now you see the Import Session Data menu box for this template. And you can see that it's 23976, all that good stuff to match your project, 48K, and a list of the tracks. So what you're going to do is choose New Track. You can do it one by one, or I like to do a Command A to just select all the tracks because we need all the tracks of the template. Also, where it says Audio Media Options, I'm going to choose to copy the audio media, and for the picture file, link to. And now the tracks are importing. Voila! Now you see the magic of the template. All of the reverb returns, tones, 2-pop, mix bus master, and record track are now imported with everything routed correctly to them and ready to mix. You can also see here on the aux returns we've got a reverb preset, one of the delays, so you're all set. Now you're going to want to name your LTRT track. So double click it and name it the film title and then leave the underscore LTRT. If you're the mixer, then put in the other pertinent information like your name, the date, etc. So once all of that information is in there, highlight it and then copy it. You're going to be using it later. Go ahead and click OK and close the window. The very last track of your session now should be the LTRT track. This is where your mix will be recorded onto. It's also important to check the monitoring. With it in input, you should hear everything. Without it in input, you should not hear anything. Please check to make sure this is the case. If it's not, check all of your bus routing to make sure it's correct. Alright, so we're going to come down to our last area of tracks, and we've got our tones starting at 5830. They should be at a level of -20 dBFS, check that. And of course, check the placement of your 2-pop at 5958. You'll also want to copy that and use it for the tail pop. What we're going to do is check the entire length of the project. The easiest way I find is to just highlight the picture. In this case, it's giving us a length of 7 minutes, 5 seconds, and 4 frames. So go to your Preferences, Operation, and Destructive Punch file length. We go up to the next whole minute, which in this case is 8 minutes. Under the Record Mode tab, go to Destructive Punch. Now that we're ready to record, put the LTRT track into Record Ready. Hit the Return key, and then Command Spacebar to put Pro Tools in Record. Since the destructive record track hasn't been previously prepared, you're going to get the message asking you to prepare the DPE track. Go ahead and click Prepare DPE track. To record your mix, just back up before the tones and start recording. Let it ride all the way through. One of the great things about the DPE track is that you can punch in and out of it seamlessly. As exciting as it would be to watch this record all the way through, I'm going to pause and we'll pick up once the file has recorded through. Through the magic of pausing, the file is complete. Highlight the file by clicking on it, and then either right-click on the file or use the pull-down menu and choose Export Clips as Files. Make sure the format is correct. WAV, interleaved, 24-bit, 48K. Click Choose to navigate to your Sessions folder. If you haven't already created an LTRT folder within it, please do so now. Then, click the Export button. Now you can go to your Finder and navigate to the folder and click on the file you created. Either right-click and get info, or Command-I and then paste the metadata that you copied earlier into the comments area. You can also rename your file from this area. This information will always be part of the file, so in the future people will know who mixed it, where, the production number, etc. Congratulations, you're done. Okay, the other way to do this is to load what I have called the full template and then drag all of your tracks down into the template's tracks. Here's how we would do that. Alright, so we're going to go back to the I/O settings and go through the tabs and delete everything. Clear it all out. Bus, output, inputs, nothing up my sleeve. And then we're going to import the same I/O we did before. And check out all the tabs. They're back. Looks beautiful. Check everything once more. Click OK or hit return. Now we're going to do a new session from template. Create from template, that checkbox right there. You might remember that we slid that into the SCA folder. There it is, the 310-508 full template. I'll rename it My Awesome Film and double check all the parameters, 24-bit, 48K, etc., and click Create. Make sure it's in the right place on your hard drive. Click Save. Once the session is created, you'll notice that not only does it have all the tracks that we had before, like reverb returns, 2-pop track, LTRT track, but it's got everything you're going to need, like dialogue tracks, ADR, effects, Foley, backgrounds, pretty much everything, at least for a simple session like we're going to deal with. Now it's time to import the audio from your sound design session. So click on the first track of your new template session and then go up to the File menu and Import Session Data. Navigate to your sound design session and double click it. You'll see the import dialog box come up. I'm going to import them in sections and grab my dialogue tracks. I think it'll be a little quicker and easier for the video. I'm gonna zoom out here so we can see all of them and just grab them all, highlight them, and then I'm gonna move them down to the dialogue tracks on the template. So hold down Control Shift, use the grabber, and slide them on down. Notice how they are still in sync because I'm holding Control Shift. Great, hit return. All right, we're just gonna double check, make sure we got everything. So now we'll just get rid of those tracks we imported. You might ask, why do we want to do that? But if you'll notice, you can see that they don't have any of the sends or plugins, all that other stuff that we need. That's why we put them on the template. So just go ahead and right click and delete them. Save your work. All right, let's bring in another group of tracks. Let's bring in the effects. So I'm gonna highlight the track I want them to go below. Same thing, import session data. Gonna navigate to that same session and bring in the effects tracks. So I'll highlight those, shift, and say okay, and boom, they're in our session. Same thing, we're going to highlight those tracks. With the selector tool, just highlight it all. And again, hold down Control Shift, use the grabber, and put them on the effects tracks of the template. Boom, done. Hit return, save, and again, we'll get rid of the tracks we imported. Highlight them, right click, delete. Save. Now let's say the original sound design session had another effects track. There are a couple ways to do that. You can just create a new track, but then it doesn't have any of the sends, etc. So instead what we'll do, let me first just get rid of that track. Instead what we'll do is just duplicate the other effects track. You can see it's got a bunch of checkboxes for sends, etc. Just say OK, and then all we have to do is rename the track. In this case, Effects 5. And there it is. Fantastic. So you can just keep repeating that process until all your tracks are imported. And then mix and you're ready to record. Same thing, record ready, and there you go. Now, one more idea might be for this full template is to give your student or sound designer the template from the very beginning. Then they can sound design with this template and it's actually ready to mix when they're done. Initially, when you give it to them, you could always hide the LTRT and all of the other effects return tracks, etc., and give it a go. Of course, with best laid plans and what sometimes happens. However, it is another idea. So once again, happy mixing to you all.